Okay, hi everyone. So here we are with the next Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 8 prompt. Gosh, I don't even know what number we're up to. We're up to 6. I'll have to check that. Anyway, today's prompt, I'm sure you've heard it from Rachel, is granny chic. So something that reminds you of your grandma or your mum, or something that you might have from your grandma or your mum you could put on. So I'm going to do my grandma. Don't worry, Juju. I'll probably put something that reminds me of you as well, but on a different block. So I'm going to add something that reminds me of grandma. But first, I want to show you a book. I'm just going to grab it and come back. All right, so here's the perfect book. Maybe there's nothing that you can think of that reminds you of your granny or your mum, or maybe you don't have much of a relationship with them, or they were never into anything that could fit within this style of work, but you might take inspiration from other people. So this book, Granny Chic, I love this book. It's by Dottie Angel and Ted and Agnes. It's a mix of different things, but it's got all that lovely vintagey style. Now, Dottie Angel had another book, and I don't have it, but I bought it for Rach many years ago. And probably about 3 years ago, I looked up the other book to see if I could get a copy, and the cheapest one was $400. So, Rach, maybe one day you can show the other book on camera because it's beautiful. But I've got this one. I've actually got another copy of this one. I've got 2 copies. So this is Granny Chic, and I thought I'd just show you a little bit inside this book. You might be able to source this one. So she has lots of beautiful vintage doilies, just a little flick through. But even, it might be just an image that gives you an idea, or some of the beautiful wallpaper. I love all this. So this book, it's just got such beautiful retro style. You might want to do a heart like that. I think I've done a heart like that before, and I've shown that picture. You might take inspiration from the colors or some of the little layouts. That's a chair covered in Liberty fabrics. Maybe Liberty reminds you of your grandma. Beautiful things. I just love this book. Look at that beautiful wall. So gorgeous. And look, all the old tablecloths, that's what I'm putting on the back of mine. I keep collecting that. It's a stunning one. I love that one. Look at this. Maybe you want to put, she's got Dottie Angel, a doily, and cut out of vintage fabrics and stitched. Maybe you want to put some script on there, like if you look at my other video of the workshop I did yesterday, Deb adds beautiful script. The aprons, I've got some aprons, old aprons that you could add to. Take inspiration from there. Just something, sparks your ideas in your head. Look at that. Imagine having all that on your wall. And it's all vintage and beautiful. That Joy, many years ago, if you've been following me for a long time, we did the Christmas tablecloth, which I think I want to pull out and add more to, and I put that Joy on like that. That's where I got the idea from. But actually, she might still have an old blog where she has stitching. And there was a table runner. Look at that. That is the nicest tablecloth. She had a table runner project, and that's where I got the idea for my Christmas tablecloth, but I made it big, not small. So there's a little bit of eye candy for you, a little bit of inspiration, Granny Chic, crafty recipes and inspiration for the handmade home from Dottie Angel and Ted and Agnes. So they're on the back there. Okay, so great book, that one. All right, so my inspiration, I'll give you a quick story, is when we were little, we used to go to our granny's house, and Rach and I had sort of twin beds, single beds in a room, and she made us like a coverlet. It wasn't like a quilt, because it was kind of a quilt, but it was like a coverlet because it had it didn't have any wadding or any backing, but they were matching, and they were yellow hexagon, and a lot were made out of all different yellow fabrics, including bits of old sheet and I love old sheet, as you know. So I'm going to do a tribute to my granny, and I'm making yellow hexies. So this, I'm going to show you where this is going to go in a minute, but I thought I'd show you how the process of doing this. So firstly, have my little tin from Colette. Hi, Colette. And I have a little template. This is a says half-inch hexagon and quarter-inch seam. So this is the little template. This is from Material Obsession. I got this years ago. And what you can do is you can move it around to see if you want a fussy cut anywhere in particular. I quite like that bit. Quite like this bit with the bit of orange. Might want to get a little bit of green on it, just on the edge. So what you see in the middle is what will end up being on the hexie, because it basically fits in there. And then this extra bit here gives you your seam allowance. For anyone that hasn't done hexies, I'm sure most people have. I'm quite liking that. So I'll just get my friction pen, and all I'll do is just roughly sketch. And this is a piece of old sheet, by the way. I've just roughly sketched it, just a few lines. But it gives me a guide of where to cut. So excuse me, flicking things around. So I just cut there. Excuse me, I tickled my throat. Okay, I'm just going to cut that tiny little edge off there because it is right up to the selvage and it's a bit thick and stiff, that part. So we'll throw that out. So now I've got my little hexie cut, and what you do is you get a little paper. These you can buy pre-cut like this. Or if you have one of those, is it called Sizzix machines? I've got one of them. I actually have one that cuts hexagons as well, and you can get it in different sizes. So you can cut, I often cut these out of just scrapbooking paper, old papers that I don't like. Okay, and you just put the paper in the middle at the back. Where is my needle? Here it is. I have already threaded up my needle, and this is just plain white sewing machine cotton, just an old one, like this. And all you do is start wherever you want, and you just fold the fabric down and then fold the other side down. So I've got my two sides folded down, and I just do a little knot, a little stitch. I go under, and then I do it again a second time. Now there are different ways of doing this method. So that little seam is now held together, and then what I do is I just come to the next side and I fold it down, not leaving much fabric. Just be careful you don't, like I was pushing that down there, and see that wouldn't leave me much to fold. So I want to try and keep it up a bit higher. I'll fold that down, and you come along and you do 2 stitches again. Now, as I was about to say, there are different methods of doing this. Some people just use glue to fold the sides down and put a little bit of glue and stick it. I don't like the glue. It gets a little bit sticky. I don't like kind of pulling it up. I like doing the stitching. You can literally just sit on the couch and watch some TV and stitch away, adding your hexies to papers like this. And, you know, you just don't think about it, you just do it. So keep going around. There is another stitch method where I think you go down through the paper and this, that, and the other. But I'm pretty sure if you do, I haven't tried that method, but I would assume that if you do that method, you might not end up being able to get your papers out and reusing them, because I can definitely reuse my papers. You flick them out. I'll show you in a minute. It's fiddly because it's little. Okay, I'm not actually stitching the paper. just so you know it's not going through the paper or the cardboard. Now, I've left myself only a tiny bit there, but that's okay. We can work with that. The last little bit. Two stitches. All right, and then I come back to where I started and I just do a couple more. Now I definitely started with a knot, but at the end what I do is I just do a few of these and then I snip it off. I've never had an issue with it not holding. Okay, so there's my little hexie. Now if you want to, you can iron that. You can even fold down the edges and iron them down just to keep them nice and crisp, but I don't bother with that. Of course I don't. And then what will happen here is I'm just going to add my next two hexies in here. Now I've gone with kind of the flower shape with the center, and I deliberately put one in there that had some different colors so it kind of looks like a center. But you don't have to do, you know, that shape. You can play around with your hexies and do different shapes. It's up to you. You might just want a row of them. If I took those two off, it's up to you. I do them in different shapes, but more often than not, I tend to do this general flower shape. So now I'm going to show you, these are all stitched already. I'm going to show you how I do these. So same thread. Some people will sometimes go to a silk thread, like a thinner thread, as long as it's a strong one. I just use the normal cotton. So first thing is, decide which way you want them to go. So I might want them like that. And I'm going to start by stitching these two together. So all you do is you butt them up together, right sides facing, and you just start in one corner. And what I do, you got to do a tiny little stitch capturing a few fibers from each fabric, and I tend to do a couple of stitches at the beginning just to make sure that it's attached. And again, I'm only just getting the edges of the fabric, so I'm not actually getting the cardboard. Occasionally you might clip it, but you don't want to stitch fully through it, otherwise it's hard to get out. Okay, so then you just continue on doing tiny little stitches, pinching them together as you go. Now, if I was doing larger hexies, for example, 1 inch hexie, you can also put a clip on to hold them together. I could do that. I could leave that on there if I wanted to. Don't need to pinch so much because the clip's pinching. Okay, so just keep doing little overcast stitches, just getting the edge of the fabric. Until I get to the end. And when I get to the end, again, I'll just do a couple of stitches to make sure those fabrics are held tightly together. I've got a little tail there. Let's cut that shorter. Okay, and then my thread's still attached and my two little pieces are held together. So these little pieces need to come in here. So what I might do, I'm just going to end my thread off. You could leave your thread attached and then just fold it down and start stitching there and then fold it and stitch there. But I'm going to take it off, just going under a few of the stitches there to finish it, and that will hold. I'm going to start here. So you got to work out where it lines up, and I'm going to start with that seam there. So this is where I might want to add my clip in. So I'm lining them up, right sides together. And I pretty much start the same process. So I'm just doing a knot on my thread. So start on this end, try and get my 2 little corners, do a double stitch, so I'm just moving my stitch up because it came around the side a bit. Okay, and then I stitch all the way along. I'm actually stitching over the tail there, that's completely fine. These are small ones, you know, you might want to start with big ones. You can start with 1 inch, or probably, I think it's 1 inch, that's what they're called. They're the most common. Hang on, I was just going to show you. I had a bit of an old piece. Oh, this would be bigger than 1 inch. But I'm just trying to think if now I'm not a quilting expert, but do I have a ruler? I normally do. Where's my ruler gone? I'm not sure if I think maybe you measure that side there and that gives you the size. I think it's that side. Someone can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but that's the measurement there, and that gives you your size. So for me, this little side here would be your 1/2 inch. That looks about 1/2 inch. I used to think it was measuring across it or that way, but I think it's the side that you measure. Anyway, just get the packet that has the size name on it that you visually like the look of, and then get the papers with the same size. You can get them at quilt stores. I do look for them at the sewing basket, so I will pick them up sometimes from the sewing basket. They're pretty popular though. I think if they're put out, they tend to get sold, probably I would expect quickly. I always will pick up a hexie template if I find them. I think I found one when Rach was here. Didn't I, Rach? I gave it to you because I know I have several, so but I do always pick them up just in case I lose them or I want a different size. Do one more stitch there. Okay, now open this up, and it looks like it doesn't fit, but we will make it fit. We'll be moving that over. So this time, and don't worry about bending your cardboards in half. This time I'm bending here, and yes, that cardboard is bent in half, but that's okay. They all end up with creases in them, and when they get too floppy because you've bent them so much, just throw them out. Oh, the other thing that's good to make hexie papers with is magazine covers, because they're a little bit thicker. I probably wouldn't use like general paper because it's too thin. The other thing that's also good, and I saw someone do this online, the lady from The Last Homely House, she uses children's books because the pages are usually quite a bit thicker than normal paper. So she goes to op shops and finds children's books that are destroyed or the cover's ripped or whatever, and sometimes they're in a free bucket, and she grabs them, and so she makes her papers out of that, and she cuts the templates, like I said, on the Size machine. I've cut a heap of templates on mine as well. I don't think I have the 1 inch template for the cutting machine, but you can get other sizes because I saw them on her video. I might even link her video below. Actually, I will do that because she's an amazing quilter in English paper piecing, which is what this is. and she'll give you some good tips. All right, so we've come along there. And now we've got this side and this side to do. So we fold this way. Now there's 3 sort of fabrics meeting there. If I feel like there's a little bit of an opening, sometimes I stitch over into the other fabric. So all 3, I'll try and get all 3 just to close up a hole. Bit tight in there. Okay, so I'll just get this done, doesn't take too long, and then I'll show you where it's going. So if you watch my other video, you know what's going on my piece from yesterday, and my piece from yesterday, following Vicky's great idea, is going to be added into my quilt. And if you didn't watch my video from our day yesterday, it's the video right before this one. Go and watch it, because I only do a quick video, but I show you a fantastic quilt that Deb has made. She said it's her first quilt that she's finished, even though I've always known her to do stuff. Like, I've known Deb for a while, which I talk about in my video. But it's the first one that she fully finished, and it went into a quilt show and it won. Which I talk about in the video. It won Viewer's Choice. I think Viewer's Choice is a great thing to win. It means everyone loves it. It is spectacular. And it is not your traditional form of quilting, but it shows you that you don't have to be a traditional quilter to make a quilt, because that's what we're doing. I wouldn't consider myself a quilter. I've only made a few quilts. But we are making a quilt. Almost done. Can you hear Alfie snoring? He's sitting under me, snoring his little head off. Okay, I'm just coming back a few stitches. All right, so there we go. Now I probably would get an iron and just run over that. I won't do it now, but you get the idea, just iron it. So let's, under here is the piece that I'm working on. There's a few bits that aren't in place. I've still got to play around with the layout a bit more, but this is the piece I'm working on. This will go onto my quilt, and I'm going to show you where I want to add this. So let's shift over to this corner. So I felt like this corner was missing something, and I feel like a nice pop of yellow would look great. So that is going to be added there, and then I need to find one of my bluebirds, and I think I might fussy cut my bluebird out. Let me see if I can find him in my bucket of goodies over here. Well, oh, here's one straight away. That bluebird would be perfect. Such a pretty doily though. Don't know if I want to cut that one. What other options have I got? I know I've got more bird doilies. I love this one too, but I don't want to cut this either, and the bird's too big. I think that one will go on hold because I like the blue trim. Maybe this one will get cut, and maybe that little bluebird will be coming down there. So we'll see. So how do we stitch this on? Really simple. I would just, once it's ironed and I take the papers out, I'll show you how to flick the papers out quickly. Just get any kind of needle. A thicker one's good. I'll do the middle one. I'll leave the others there till I iron it. You just come under the seam, and you just get under the paper and you just flick it and pull it out. Okay. So you take all the papers out, put this down, and just using the sewing machine cotton, I just do little overcast stitches around the edge. You can also get a perlé cotton. For example, I might want orange. You can stitch the hexagon shape around the outside to accent it a bit. I might do that. I might even do it in a nice, this colour, I was thinking. Nice bright pink, or 2 lines, 1 orange and 1 pink. You can also running stitch just inside the outside as well. This one's small, so it should sit on quite nicely. Maybe I need to look for a pink in that colour. Seeing it, I have one more sort of, no, that's not the right colour. That's got a bit more orange in it. No, this is the wrong colour too, but that's nice colour, but it's the wrong one. You can do multiple lines around the outside. It's up to you. Got this cool tin yesterday. It's really old. Look at it, $4. How good. And at the sewing basket were the Volandi threads. Now these are quite expensive normally, and these were all $2. So they had all pastel-y colours. Blue might be nice, but I don't think I'll use them. They're a bit too pastel, and this is quite a bright piece. So that is my video for this week with our new prompt, which is granny chic. And certainly there's lots of granny chic on here with doilies and birds, and there's Liberty. Reminds me of Mum, actually. Liberty, she used to make Liberty quilts for us. So there you go, Mum, there's a bit of you in there, Liberty. But that is my granny chic for my grandma, who made us yellow quilts for our beds, which, mind you, I'm going to tell the story, Mum, sorry, but we don't have them anymore because Mum sold them in a garage sale. I think maybe in other countries it might be a yard sale. Yeah, and then I realised that she'd done, I'm like, Mum, where's our yellow things? She'd sold them, and we tried to get them back, but we couldn't. They were gone. So anyway, yeah, maybe one day I'll have to make another one like Granny did out of things like vintage sheets. So thank you for watching this week. I'm loving how bright mine is. This is perfectly me, my kind of colours. And I will see you next week for the next prompt. Okay, hope you have a great day. Bye.